How do you optimize a low ticket funnel so you can maximize your average order value? That is what we're going to be discussing in this video. But first, as you can notice, I am on a different set than normal for this video. And the only people that would notice that are the longtime subscribers. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, what are you doing? Click the subscribe button right now, before you continue the video. Okay, you got it. Anyways, this video, the reason why I'm on a different set is because it's sponsored by samcarts, right? Your boy is moving up the ranks now, guys. I got to meet one of the founders, Mr. Scott Moran, a few weeks ago, and he very graciously let me and my clients use the office here in Austin, Texas for a private day that I was conducting. And this actually doesn't even look like a real set, but like, look, this is 100%. This is real, like it's real. So I shared with Scott how I run this YouTube channel and I produce primarily how-to videos in the digital marketing world. And I talked about how I wanted to make a video on optimizing low-ticket funnels. And he loved the idea and he offered me access to the studio, but he also offered me access to a disgusting amount of internal data that samcart has collected over the years. It included 77,000 businesses, 342,000 funnels, 9.7 million products sold, and $6 billion in processed transactions. So what I'm going to give you today is not just theory on how to optimize a low ticket funnel, but rather it's going to be practical, implementable, and it's going to be backed by undeniable data. That's pretty cool. Now, if you want to get access to the full report that samcart put together, which shares all the data that I'm going to cover inside of this video, and if you also want access to detailed notes on this video with a checklist of all the optimizations and some other goodies that I've put together, that way you could just pay attention to the video and you don't need to go take notes. You're not going to do that anyways, but you get what I mean. If you want that, just check out the description down below for the link. Enter in your email and I'll send you everything. And on top of that, you'll also get weekly emails from me sharing more value. So let's just go ahead. Let's get started. Since we are talking about strategy in this video, I wanted to mention a great book you absolutely should buy. It's called The Mind of the Strategist by, I'm going to butcher this, Kenichi Omai. That's probably how he says his name. Anyways, but what this Japanese businessman talks about is the art of business strategy. And it's been a very fascinating read for me. One of my favorite parts has been the first chapter when Kenichi, I hope that's his name and how you say it, but Kenichi, he says, analysis is the critical starting point of strategic thinking. Strategic thinking is about pausing, breaking things down, and making smarter decisions. The reason I brought this up is because the first thing we want to do when it comes to examining a low ticket funnel is break it up into its parts. So here's what we got, guys. We got the front end offer, which is going to go on the landing page or sales page, whatever you want to call it. Then we have the checkout page. Sometimes number 1 and number 2 are together. Sometimes they're separate. Okay. So after that, we have the upsells and then we have the back end process. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look through each one of these parts of the funnel and we're going to break down what the possible problems are that you are encountering that are actually preventing you from maximizing your average order value. The point of me doing this is so you can arm yourself with the next 3 to 6 months worth of split tests that you need to run on your funnel to figure out how you can maximize your AOV, average order value. So here's a powerful stat that the samcart family put together. Over 70% of the users doing over $1 million per year on samcart are actively running A/B split tests at all times. And collectively, they were running more split tests than all the other people on the platform combined. Let that sink in for a moment. The highest earners, the ones making 7 figures and above, they weren't just building a funnel and then hoping that it worked. They were systematically testing one variable at a time, and they kept improving each piece based on cold, hard data, not guesses, not vibes, data. So if you want to play at the level that they're playing at, you need to approach your funnel like a scientist. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you guys inside of this video. So like I said, I'm going to go through each part of the low ticket funnel and I'm going to talk to you about what the possible problems are so you can develop a list of split tests for you to run. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's get started with your front end offer. Your landing page's job is just to get someone to move from cold interest to warm intent, in this case, actually buying the product. So if people are landing on your page, but they're not even clicking through to actually initiate checkout, you do not have a checkout problem. You have a messaging or you have an offer clarity problem. So before we actually start talking about checkout page metrics, let's first discuss what could be stopping people from actually initiating checkout. Because if we look at your front end offer and the page that you have it on, your landing page, we only really have the offer itself, the headline, the VSL, your sales copy, your page structure. That's pretty much it. So when it comes to your offer, if your offer is not providing a tangible, specific solution to a specific problem, you're just going to struggle. This is the main thing that's going to stop people from actually wanting to buy is they don't know what they're buying. They don't feel like they're going to get anything tangible from purchasing. Even something as simple as saying like, hey, this shaker bottle for protein shakes breaks down protein way more efficiently and it keeps your stuff ice cold, right? It's specific, it's tangible, it's differentiated from other, shaker ball protein shakers. I'm just kind of using a crazy example here, but you get what I mean. That's a physical product that solves a physical problem in a unique way. But if you're selling a digital product, it could be something like this ChatGPT branding guide allows you to create a brand document that you can upload to any LLM and get way higher quality outputs from that LLM. That's a tangible digital solution to a digital problem. So my point here, guys, is that your front-end offer needs to provide some level of a tangible outcome. And that is usually the number one thing that I see people mess up, okay? They are trying to sell something intangible on the front end, and that works better actually on the back end. The back end, once you have people's trust, is where you can sell them intangible stuff like masterminds, coaching, consulting. Sure, there's some tangible stuff like events or calls or whatever, but it's largely intangible, okay? So front end, you sell tangible. Back end is where you sell intangible, okay? So trying to reverse that doesn't work. So saying something like you want to increase your confidence, that's weak. It doesn't land. It doesn't actually make the person want to buy. But if you were to say, here's a list of 30 affirmations that you're going to say every single morning, or even better, something like here's an audio track that you're going to play every single morning that's going to reprogram your mind for being a more confident version of you. Now we're starting to move in the right direction. Okay, that's tangible. Okay, so I want to create my front end offer as a thing that I can hold, I can hear, I can use. Like it needs to be tangible. So split testing your offer usually just means adjusting the utilitarian nature of what you're selling. So you need to ask yourself, what real problems can I solve for my market? And that starts by looking at your audience and trying to figure out what are all the problems that they're dealing with. And then from there, what we want to focus on is what are all the solutions that I can provide. Maybe it's some sort of a framework. Maybe it's a course if we're going digital. But if it's something physical, maybe it's just, again, you need to add more products or you need to add on a new product or whatever. I don't want to focus as much on the specific nuanced details. I think you guys get the point. You just find the problems, create solutions for those problems, okay? Then what you want to do, guys, is again, position what you're doing as a tangible outcome. So going back to that protein shaker example, if you just say, hey, it's a protein shaker, and that's it, that's not going to convert as well as saying this protein shaker will break down the protein powder and make it so much smoother. So you have, say you call this thing, I don't know, the smooth protein shaker accelerator. It's a stupid product name, but you get the point for the example. That is going to be better than just protein shaker. So it has to be that there's some level of a USP. There's something unique about what you are doing there. It's that it's going to break things down more effectively or whatever. So that's how I would go about split testing your offer. You don't want to do any guesswork here. I mean, it technically is kind of guessing a little bit, but it's actually creating a thesis based on what is my customer base saying their main problem is, or what are people saying that they love the most about my product? And then we lead with that in a utilitarian hook, headline, etc. That brings us to the next part, headline. So this is one of the main drivers for your conversions. It's the first thing that people are going to read. So if it doesn't land, they're just going to keep scrolling probably, and they're just not going to buy. They're not going to engage, okay? And that's going to cause them to what? Not buy the product. So there's a specific art to actually crafting a headline. And I think that the best way to kind of think about it is that you kind of need to do your split test, but you have to think about what's the easiest way for me to actually run the split test. So here's what I would recommend, because you don't want to just do it where it's like there's no reason why it's working better. That's just you throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping it sticks. Don't do that. So here's what you're going to do. Take your current headline and just run it against a split test that is the other headline, so AB, and the B headline is just want to and then blank. Now, obviously, guys, don't put blank on the headline. Just plug in the biggest benefit that your offer provides. So in this case, want to build your personal brand in under 30 minutes using AI, or something like want to build 30 days worth of content for your personal brand in under 30 minutes using AI, something like that. Or want to meal prep for the whole week in under an hour. So you see how I kind of go about doing things. It's want to do this thing in this specific timeline, or want to do this specific thing for this specific benefit. Okay, so whatever the core outcome is that you're selling, just use that. Then pair it with a subheadline that's framed as without having to blank, blank, blank. So without needing to hire a designer or write a single word, or without giving up your weekends or eating the same boring basic meals, right? Something like that. Guys, this is a very basic formula, but it works. So if you're stuck and you have a headline that you think should be performing better, but it's not, just try this version and just let the numbers tell you whether or not this is a better headline. Okay, so you're not supposed to get cute or clever here. What you're trying to do is figure out what is the main benefit that I can communicate to the audience that's going to get them more interested in purchasing the product. Again, you're trying to figure out which benefit is the real hook for your sales argument, which is the rest of the page. So I like the want to headlines. It's just simple. And you can then, let's say the B headline, that one works better. Okay, now you have the want to headline as your control. Okay, now if you want to continue split tests against it, great. Now you just test it against another want to headline and just swap out the benefit. That way you can keep playing a game where it's like benefit versus benefit, seeing which one works better until one clearly pulls ahead. Again, guys, do not do the spaghetti at the wall split testing. That's not going to be useful for you. You want to be scientific with what you're doing. Think about it like you are running a control and you have to figure out why you beat the control. Okay? So if you want to go deeper into this stuff around headlines, I would recommend checking out, well, I actually have a video that talks about that on my channel, so I'm going to plug that first. So go watch that video. Just go to my channel and you'll find it, whatever. Just search headlines and you'll see it. Or you go and read Claude Hopkins' book, Scientific Advertising. He breaks down headlines better than anyone else except for me. And I think that it's really useful for you to go through and see how he would think about headlines as well. But first, go to my YouTube channel and give me your time and attention before you give Claude Hopkins your time and attention. Okay, so that's the next thing that we can split test. We got the offer, we got the headline. Now let's talk about your VSL. So this is where a lot of people, they just skip the VSL entirely. They don't have a VSL on the page. So if you don't have one, just split test putting one in there. Okay, that's pretty simple, right? So if you split test that and you see what happens and it's that, oh, it's clearly outperforming the page without the VSL, well, congratulations. That's a pretty easy win, isn't it? So if you already have a VSL, though, you may be hearing that and be like, yeah, of course I should have a VSL on my sales page. But what idiot wouldn't have a VSL on their sales page, right? I think the same thing. But you may be in a position where it's like, I think the VSL is the thing that could get us a better lift. Okay. So if that's the case, here's what I would recommend. Just film a new one with a different sales argument. And a sales argument, guys, is really nothing more than a different pitch. So a sales argument has the hook, it has the body, and it has the close, okay? And sometimes there's a close, we call it like a trial close, scattered throughout the entire thing. So what I like to do is I like to focus on just a completely different pitch. So if you're pitching primarily from the perspective of, let's say that you're focused primarily on one specific benefit, try a VSL focused on a different benefit, try a different actor, try a different way to explain it. There's just a lot of different stuff that you could do differently here, guys. So it's not that you're going to rewrite your whole funnel. Rather, you're just going to change the way that you're actually explaining the product. And there's 1,001 ways to do this. I have plenty of videos on the YouTube channel about how to actually go about doing VSL scripts. And so rather than focus this entire video on how to actually do a VSL script, I want to go to the other parts of what you need to split test. I would rather you just go watch some of those videos about how to do VSL scripts. In this case, again, just the core thesis here is that one of the main things that will get you the biggest lift on your front end to get people from the actual page to the checkout page is going to be a different VSL. And I'll just state this as well, guys. You might not even be the best person to come up with the new VSL script. If that's the case, well, maybe you should hire a copywriter like me to split test it against your current control. But I'm not going to pitch in this video because it's brought to you by samcart, and that's the main thing that we're setting in this video, samcart. But let's just get back to the point. So at the very least, guys, you should just get someone else to come in and look at it with fresh eyes and ask them, what do you think? What is the better way that we could explain this? Or what didn't you like about this video? Or what landed, what didn't land? What would you rather have seen, et cetera, et cetera. It's pretty straightforward, guys. Like split testing, you can make it this, again, spaghetti thrown at the wall thing, or you can have a thesis behind what you're doing. I would rather you actually focus on things with a thesis, okay? Same thing goes for your sales copy. If you are going to split test the actual sales letter, well, then guys, just change the story or change the sales argument. You don't need to overcomplicate this. You could even just take the copy, put it into ChatGPT, and just be like, hey, I want you to write this now as if you were a master copywriter, Frank Curran, you have to beat this control. That's one thing that you could do there. You're just changing the story or the sales argument. And again, that can be a huge lift to your bottom line. But how to do this, again, it's very nuanced, guys. Copywriting is a very nuanced thing, and this isn't a copywriting tutorial video. So if you want to go deep into that rabbit hole, I've got other videos on my channel where I break down how to structure a VSL, how to frame the offer, all that stuff. So you can go watch those videos later. But for this video, the thing I want you to get is this. Only test one thing at a time. I cannot stress that enough, okay? You could do a massive A/B test where you change the headline, the VSL, the offer, and the layout all at once. But if you do that, you're not actually going to know what worked, okay? You're not going to know what moved the needle and what didn't move the needle, okay? So that brings us to the next part, which is the structure of the page. So you want to maybe move things around, add in different graphics, change the layout of the page. There's a lot of different ways that you can change the structure of the front end page. And I would just say that the best way to go about figuring out what should you do differently is just go look at competitors and see what they're doing and see what you like about it. And also people who aren't necessarily competitors, but who are also selling similar, let's say, price point products or style of products to you, and go see how they set things up. Okay. That way you could say, okay, well, we already got a good headline. We've got a great VSL. We've got a great sales letter. We know that's working. What if we were to do it where we change the design? Just base the design off of something that you know is doing well, i.e. something that is probably just been running for a long time. You've seen a lot of ads go into it, so you know that it's technically converting. But again, guys, just know that design and setup and layout and all that, it's its own test. That is a different category of change, and it should be tested in isolation. And again, design and all that's another video for another day. But out of everything that I've just said, the easiest lift that you guys can get with the least amount of skill is really just going to be changing your offer and changing your headline, period. Everything else is layered and a little bit more nuanced, okay? So if you want to get in the weeds with copy, again, watch some of my other stuff. But for now, just focus on the headline, focus on the offer. You can probably improve those two areas to get more people to actually get to the checkout page. So, guys, if people aren't actually initiating checkout from your landing page, those are things that I'd look at. Those are the split tests that I would run. Now, let's say that people are making it to the checkout page. How do you know if your checkout page is actually converting? What are the baseline metrics? Haha, well, here's where samcart brought some very valuable data. So, here's what they found across their entire platform. The average checkout page conversion rate is 4.1%. That is your baseline. If you are below that, you've definitely got issues. If you're slightly above that, you're average. But here's where it gets interesting, guys. The top 10% of sellers on samcart convert at 7.5% or higher. Now, the reason why is probably because these top sellers have their offer dialed in. They have a stronger headline, a better VSL, better sales letters, right? They know what they're doing on the front end. So the checkout page has less heavy lifting to do. So again, if your checkout page isn't converting at a bare minimum of 4%, you need to optimize. So how do you calculate that? How many people landed on the checkout page and how many customers do you have? If that number is less than 4%, we got to go back to the drawing board and figure out what are we doing incorrectly on the front end. But also, if you're between like 4%, 6%, you're in the game. But again, you got some room to improvement. And over 7.5%, you're in elite territory. Okay. Now, the easiest way for you guys to get a lift in this area is just to use samcart's native checkout pages. That's pretty much it. In their report, samcart found that their checkout pages convert 23% higher than the industry average. And that's because their checkout pages already have the best practices built in, so you can't really mess it up. They've tested this across millions and millions of transactions and dozens of niches. And their layouts simply just convert better than other options like, I'm not going to say the name, but you know, that guy, the one who's always like, hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Young Tucker. That guy. You already know who I'm talking about. And the thing that I want to say is that there's a few specific things that they do to their checkout pages that make it convert better. So number one is just minimal fields. Guys, people are lazy. If you give them a checkout form asking for the name, the address, their billing address, their email, their phone number, you're killing conversions, okay? Just ask for name, email, and payment info. That's it. You really don't need their billing address, and samcart makes it that way. So every extra field that you're going to add is just going to lower conversions. And as well, what we want to add on is trust icons and security badges. I know this sounds like super basic, but they actually do reduce hesitation and they make it clear you're not a scam. So secure checkout page badges, SSL badges, encryption, even like testimonials below the actual button. And guys, again, I know that you listen to this and you're like, this surely can't lead to lifted conversions. If you have an older audience, I think you would be shocked at how often this actually does help conversions. Now, the next thing that samcart does better than all the other options out there is their design is mobile friendly. It's not difficult for you to set it up. They make it super easy for you to set up the checkout page and just make it mobile friendly. Most of your traffic is going to come from people on their phone. So if your checkout page is clunky on mobile, you are losing sales. So just don't do that. The best way to just not have to optimize things or figure out the layout is just sign up for samcart. You can do that with the link in the description down below as well. Another feature that they have is the one-click checkout option with Apple Pay. So most people have Apple Pay set up on their phone. So instead of having them to actually manually enter in their information and everything, they can just tap one button, double click the phone or whatever, or probably the face scan or just a double tap, and then they're good to go. They've already purchased the product. So that level of convenience significantly boosts conversions. As the founder Scott said, I want people to spend as little time on samcart as possible, the people that are actually checking out. We want them to just get there, boop, check, good to go. And last but not least, one of the cool parts that they have is the financing options that you can get access to, like Klarna and Affirm. So they offer financing options, and that's probably going to be pretty useful, especially if you're selling something that's, over $100 to $300. So if you're selling something that's like $1,000, $500, $2,000, this is going to make a massive difference for you. So something funny that I saw the other day as well is that DoorDash recently partnered with one of those payment processing tools like Klarna to actually start financing food orders. People love financing nowadays for some reason, and my personal theory is that it's helping them budget themselves a little bit better. So, they're using services like Klarna almost like a credit card just so they can pay it out at the end of the month or just to rack up debt. I mean, I'm not going to speak for the average consumer and what they're doing. It's probably not good. We're probably in a bubble right now, but don't worry about that. You can take advantage of the bubble with samcart, okay? So those are the main factors that make samcart's checkout pages just convert better than everything else out there. Now, the next big thing that optimizes your AOV on the checkout page is your order bump. And sure, it's easy to say, just add an order bump. But what price point should you do? What should you do there? Well, here's what samcart found. The highest converting order bump was actually right around the same price as the front end product. So whatever product you just asked for the purchase on, just do the same price again. So if you are an info product and you have a $27 ebook, your order bump should be around $27. Okay, same thing with if you have a physical product. If the physical product was, let's just say $100, your order bump what's going to convert best is probably going to be around $100. That's what they found across the board with all the data that they found was the best order bumps were a similar price to the front end product. Now, the next question may be, okay, I got the price, but what should I actually sell on the order bump? Well, it's a great question. Just go back to what I talked about with the front end offer and how I would go about creating the different offers that you have there by finding specific problems and just create another product that you can sell alongside your product. Now, that's if you're selling info. If you're selling a physical product, you may need to figure out what is the accessory or the extra thing that you can throw in there. And I would just focus on figuring out what is going to be most useful, not what's clever or what's cute. Okay. So maybe it's going to be an accessory. It could even just be like an insurance plan. It could be that you're selling like maybe express shipping or something like that. And that probably isn't going to be that's the same price as what you just sold, but you want to have something at least on those order bumps. There's plenty of options that you can have there, but we want to make it ideally that the order bump again is right around the price that they're already buying. So that's everything that you could possibly optimize on your front end and your checkout page. That's literally everything. There's no other part to the process. Okay. There's like maybe stupid little things like, oh, I could throw in this specific line of code that has this random thing pop up, but like, let's not get fancy here. That's the basics. Okay. So the next thing that you can optimize is your upsells. Okay. Marketers love using way too many upsells. In my opinion, this hurts more than it helps when you have upsell 1, upsell 2, upsell 3, upsell 4, and then downsells for each one of those. And then for each upsells, accompanying ups, like it's just too much. It's way too much. If your checkout process takes someone 45 minutes to go through, most of them are just going to leave halfway through the experience. And some might even just get annoyed and just charge back right away because they don't like you now. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. Instead, I recommend having just 1 to 2 upsells along with some accompanying downsells as well. So what samcart did is they collected data on the highest converting first upsell price points. And what they saw was that it is dependent on the price of your front end product, similarly to the order bump. So here's what they found. If your product is between $5 and $100, the best first upsell price is around $90. If your product is between $100 and $300, the best upsell price is again right around $90 to $99. And then for products that are between $300 and $500, the ideal upsell price is right around $270. And if your front end product is $500 or above, the best converting upsell was right around $506, which is what the data spit back. It just averages, like it's the quirky nature of averages is you're randomly going to get a number like 506. So don't price it at 506. Probably just right around $500 is more than enough. So what I like to do, guys, is just make the price point seem like a steal compared to the value that they're actually getting from the purchase. So you'll see that with info, this is a lot easier than with physical products because the margins are literally 100%, whereas with physical products, we have physical margins. So what I like to do is just, again, go back to the same idea that we were using for the order bumps, for the front end offers. Okay, if it's an info product, we think about what is the next problem that your customers will face right after they purchase your initial product. Then what we want to do is create a plug and play solution for that next problem. For example, if you sold a product about, how to build low ticket funnels, like what we're talking about right now, well, then the next logical upsell might be a product teaching people how to actually get traffic to those products. Makes sense, right? If you're selling physical products, though, it's a little bit of a different story. Usually, the easiest thing to sell is just more of the same product or complementary items. So let's say, again, going to our protein shaker example, let's say that you're selling those protein shakers. You could offer them 4 additional protein shakers at a discount. And they only get that discount right now. If they say no, maybe you order half that quantity. So 2, that's the downsell. So if they say yes, though, maybe then we have the next upsell is that they get 2 more. So it's like, hey, want 2 more so you can have a shaker for every day of the week? Just like one example of it, guys. And so I could even do that. I could do it where maybe I do different colors, or maybe you have sleeves or something like that. Or there's just a million and one things. We are kind of limited when it comes to physical products based on what physical products you have. This is why I like info more than physical products, because I'm not limited to like matter. I could just make a new product right away. So when it comes to your upsells, guys, you can split test the offer itself, but you can also split test the headline on the offer page, the VSL, the sales copy, the structure, including like graphics and layout. I mean, you could even test removing the VSL entirely and just using static product images, or you could test a simple VSL with a button beneath it and nothing else. Again, guys, the critical part here is identifying exactly where your leak is happening and then initiating split tests that are scientific. Okay, so we're not going to have 16 split tests running simultaneously unless you get a statistician on your team. If that's the case, I mean, by all means, you can probably figure out how to do that. But I prefer to do things in the smartest way possible that does not require me to hire someone from Harvard that has a math degree. Okay, so if your landing page and your checkout page are working well, but your average order value is still lower than you'd like, it's probably time to split test some different offers inside of your upsell process. Okay. So we can do that by just changing the offer. We can then do that if we go like, hey, I think the offers are good, just kind of based on your gut feel and a little bit of that like thesis of like, I don't think it's that. We could change the VSL. We could change the headline. We could change the copy. It's pretty simple, guys. There's not a whole lot that you can do there, but these are the variables that we have to work with. So those are the split tests that you could possibly run. So guys, what we've covered so far is your front end, the landing page that you're sending people to, or the sales page that you're sending them to. That's the first area that we want to try and maximize what we are seeing from our conversion rates. Then from there, we got our actual checkout page. It's pretty simple. Just go and click on the link in the description and go to samcart and sign up for samcart. And then after that, we have the upsells. Okay, so the upsells, we've talked about how to go about split testing them, but this next part is kind of an extension of the upsells. And that not everyone is going to buy right away on the upsells. And so you may have to restate those offers multiple times. And also you may have other offers that didn't even make it into the upsell pages, and you want to put those in front of your customers. And that is your back end process. Okay, so now let's talk about how do you do split tests and how do you actually optimize your back end process? Well, here's the thing. Samcart's top sellers are tripling their customers' lifetime value over 12 months after they purchase. That's crazy. Tripling their customer lifetime value 12 months after they purchase. A lot of people, what they do is they stop selling after someone made a purchase. Oh, you bought, that's it. Well, if you want to buy, just let us know, right? And then they just stay there. But guys, most of your business is going to be made after someone buys. So what they found was that 12% of your customers, or 1 out of every 7 people that buy something from you, they're going to come back and buy again. And those people, this is just the craziest thing. Those people account for 46% of your total revenue. 46% of your total revenue. So if you're not focused on driving repeat sales, on driving additional sales inside of the business, you are pretty much half the size that you should be. So I'll go back more into like how to actually optimize the back end here in a moment. But before I do that, I really want to talk about one of the most significant parts of the back end process that Samcart was able to collect data on, which was abandoned carts. So here's what they found. The top sellers using cart abandonment campaigns, they were able to generate 3 times more orders than people who are not. Obviously, right? Because the people aren't trying to get those people to buy even though they left. So this is where it gets a little crazier though. The top Samcart sellers leveraging abandoned cart strategies make 15.6 times more revenue compared to those who completely neglect this aspect. So clearly, abandoned cart management, it's not just optional, it's essential for maximizing the sales. So how do you actually go about crafting an effective cart abandonment sequence? Well, here's kind of how I would think about it. You got a couple different types of emails that you could send them. So I would say that the first category is going to be immediate reminders. So this is where you send a simple email just reminding the people who gave you their email but didn't complete the purchase, just telling them, hey, did you still want this? Here's the link, and you just link them back to the checkout. Just a simple nudge to kind of get them back to actually purchasing the product, okay? And you're going to do that 2 to 3 times and just be like, hey, still want this? Like, you could just kind of make it like 2 lines. It doesn't really need to be a super complex email. I found that oftentimes making a joke or something as well can work pretty well, and you can just figure out what that thing is based on your actual product. The next section of emails that I would do after those first 2 to 3 kind of more like nudge focused emails is objection handling emails. So after, again, 1 to 3 initial reminders, we want to pivot to addressing the common objections that people have directly. So you want to identify the reasons that someone might hesitate or, again, just abandon their cart. It could be price. It could be just not understanding the product all the way. It could be trust issues. Am I going to use this? I'm not sure. Like, one of the best things that you could do is just take a description of your product, put it into ChatGPT or Claude, and just ask ChatGPT or Claude, what are all the reasons why someone would abandon cart on this product? And then just go and make emails on all those different reasons. So we want to explicitly address those objections in the follow-up emails. So we're going to aim for 5 to 6 objection handling emails, each one focused on a specific hesitation that your prospects might have. And that leads us to the third category of emails that you're going to send, which is the long-term nurture emails. So you guys know I'm a huge advocate for running a newsletter. After you've actually ran people through an abandoned cart sequence, you could transition those people into your general email newsletter. And you just keep providing value to these people over time. And if you want to know more about how you should go about doing that, I recorded a video last week that you can check out, which goes in depth on my process and how I go about doing this. So you can write 5 to 6 of these a week, and it doesn't really take all that much time. So guys, remember, backend optimization isn't just about immediate sales. It kind of is. It's also, though, about nurturing relationships and giving long-term value. So to recap your optimization strategy, let's go through each of the things that we discussed. Number 1, we got your front end. So how do you go about optimizing your front end? You either optimize the offer, optimize the headline, VSL, or the sales copy. And we test these individually to identify exactly what is resonating and then being able to form a thesis why something beat the other control that we had. So that's number 1. Number 2, checkout page. How do you go about optimizing your checkout page? Well, you just leverage samcart's high-performing checkout pages, which are designed for optimal conversion, including minimal fields, mobile-first design, trust icons, financing options, Apple Pay integration, and many more features to help make it easier for you to convert people from viewers into buyers. Best way for you to do that is to click the link in the description down below and sign up for samcart. So that's number 2. And that brings us to number 3, upsells. So what you want to do is focus on clear, compelling complimentary offers. And you can do this using samcart as well. It's one of the best parts about the software is the upsell process, and setting up upsells is so easy. It's not difficult. Some of those other softwares out there, I'm not going to talk about which ones. It is so freaking complicated to set that stuff up. It should be easy and intuitive to set up upsells, and that's exactly what samcart does. So all you got to do, guys, is just focus on those clear complimentary offers, and then also split test, what is a better headline for my upsells? What are some maybe better pricing options that I could have? Or even just what's a better VSL or sales copy, structure, graphics? Plenty of the same stuff that works on the front end for the optimizations are going to work on the actual upsells itself. And that then leads us to the last part, which is your back end process. So we want to prioritize cart abandonment strategies as we discussed. So guys, the last thing I'll leave you with is you should not, especially if you're running paid traffic, do not get bogged down by minor daily fluctuations. What you want to focus on instead is substantial trends and data collected over the course of weeks and months. So with incremental split testing and actually doing things in a systematic manner, you are going to be able to start guiding your funnel towards consistent profitability with higher AOVs. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want access to the complete samcart data report, plus detailed notes and an actionable checklist that you can actually use to optimize your sales pages and everything that we've discussed in this video, along with some extra goodies in there, just click the link in the description down below. It'll have the thing that says it. It's pretty straightforward. You're not a dummy. Click the link in the description, drop in your email, and I'll send everything your way. Also, if you could drop me a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed this, that would really help for algorithmic purposes. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. All the best. Peace.